So, I have finally come to a point in this where I don't have to demonize anyone. That there are no enemies out there. The government is not the enemy. Religious people aren't the enemy. Even my haters, critics, are not the enemy. Because everyone is coming from a point of good, even if it comes out fucked up and aggressive. But we can't have too much aggression because people then become destructive. So I finally figured out through allegory, after I studied the science, that everyone is an angel. And sometimes their angels are destroyed by the demons or overwhelmed by the demons within. And that sounds so like, I'll tell you, there's some people in, let's say in China, when I spoke in allegory, forgetting who my audience was for the moment, when someone asked me if the jilly juice was good for his cancer, and I said, I can't be the one to tell you. You have to release the demons. And he's just like, I don't believe in that. I don't believe I have demons in me. And I'd have to have come from the point of science, but how do you take someone from 0 to 60? And they have cancer. And they might not have the capacity to learn. You know, when you're starving of the necessary meat, milk, cheese, eggs, fruits, and vegetables, and you're living on dim sum, hardly any milk, starving, used for a purpose, because people in China are used for a purpose. Their demons are trained in a specific way. Sometimes their demons are starving, and so are the angels. So, you know, I couldn't tell them this allegory. You can't take someone from the point of only science and then they don't even have the ability to really learn. And if they do, but who are you to teach somebody? Who am I to teach some stranger on Facebook who's looking for somebody to take away their demons and they don't even believe they have any? Right? When you don't believe you have demons within, whatever that means, antigen antibody programming working against you, then there's no freaking way you can reach them. Belief is what causes people not to learn. But allegory is a very important way of explaining science and morality and concepts and lessons. And their allegory are great examples, analogies, so people can relate to the story and understand through those mediums. And that's why reading is so important. Okay. In my opinion, you know, kids need to learn how to read. Kids need to learn how to read stories, all types, challenge themselves. That was the gift my mother gave to me. She read to us almost every day. She forced me to do all those book reports. I mean, I had academics shoved down my throat. It was crazy. But I understand now the programming. It was fucking amazing programming because look where it came out. Look what came of it. It's fucking amazing. But you don't see it for like many years if you even survive the programming, because there's so much program on top of programming. Now, it wasn't just academics. It was being held accountable for my actions. It was learning the harsh ways of the world. People are not benevolent. They will suck the life out of you if given a chance. And people learn that they must get agreement from everyone in order to fit in. And then when you have to fit in, then you lose yourself, and then you become a tool for the system, and then the system can also program you to self-destruct through the agreement of your friends and family and cohorts. That's the devil and the demon of agreement. That's the devil and demon of religion and big families and greed. The demons of agreement, addictions to validation. If you're not repelling people, you're attracting parasitic energy that will feed off of you, and you'll give up your body, mind, and spirit to the nearest feeder. Some people cultivate feeders that feed off of them instead of having it in their body and releasing the demons, they develop children that will feed off them forever until the mother and the parents are sucked dry in body, mind, and spirit, and finances, and everything else. And so the art of repelling means that you can still put your information out there, but people don't feed off you, and you don't let them suck you dry, because they will suck you dry if you let them, especially when you're so addicted to agreement. So yeah, it's not easy repelling the people that brought you up to a certain level. Well, why would you do that? That's so disloyal, Jillian. No, because it's called evolution. Just like when John and I had to go our separate ways, more power to him. Good luck to him. He was awesome up to the certain point, and then he started resisting me. And there's no reason to resist me. I didn't do anything to him. He didn't do anything to me. Why should we resist each other? Just go your separate ways. But that's the thing, is that it's called evolution. Sometimes you have to go your own way. Maybe my information was too much for him. I don't blame him. I was pretty much focusing on the whole blood types. And it's a little crazy when you think about A and B blood types are the most vulnerable in our population. And some are programmed to such an extent that they're going to have to go through the pain and suffering of giving themselves a chance to release that demon while they have some kind of reserves. And building up that pressure of reserves is not easy. If it's even possible, I don't know. We have yet to see that. So yeah, sometimes you have to just move past people and repel them. Like he repelled me, he needed to move past me. He had to do it in a way that he knew how, and that's fine. Okay, it was a quid pro quo. It was time to move on. And that's a great thing when you figure out that it's time to move on. Not everyone evolves together. Okay? So repelling people in your world is not a bad thing. Be okay with it. Because if you're always trying to get agreement from your friends and family, you'll never evolve. How could you? When you see where most of society is going, died suddenly in the morgue, addicted to everything, managing so many different diseases, is that where you want to end up? I mean, people manage disease all the time and they do great. Okay, fine. Eventually, you can't manage them anymore. Then it's just letting the train leave the station. It becomes too much. How did I manage? I really didn't manage disease. I just fed it. What did I do the last 3 years? I fed disease, pulled out the crap, ate food, rested, and just kept learning new information and going back to what I've learned and put it all together. Everything in the conspiracy world, everything in my childhood, everything within the last 3 years, even evolving my own information, even questioning my own information from 7 years ago. The J world is not the same world it was when it started. The J world completely is different. And people who are stuck back in the 2018, who still think they should remedy everything and cure everything and starve themselves with food and air and water and whatever, okay, that's where you stopped. And I kept moving on. And I evolved very quickly, because in this environment, you're going to evolve so quickly. If you don't support that evolution, you'll die from that evolution. And right now people are being forced to evolve and they can't handle it and they die suddenly, or they keep resisting evolution and then eventually they'll die suddenly. And so I figured out that everyone is an angel, but they have demons within that are blocking their ability to learn. Okay? And so, yes, there is demonology and then there is angelology. I don't post anything about angelology because I'm not trying to have anyone worship anyone outside of themselves. I'm not having you worship yourself. The demon of deception, the demon of belief, the demon of religion, when you think about it, is that you're always getting absolution outside of your responsibility. It's always somebody's fault or somebody else that saved you. And so the whole that Jesus is the angel and all the angels, and then there's the archangels, and that was all storylines. So then you didn't realize that you actually are the angel. You are the goddess. You are the god. You are whatever. But you also have demons. And you have to balance out those two worlds. It's not like you can get rid of your demons, because those are the ones that are going to alert you when danger is near so you can get out of harm's way. But people are right now overridden by their immune system of protection. They're overprotected to the point where that being overprotected is destroying them. And that is morbid obesity as well as emaciation. Because those demons inside ate out the infrastructure, sucked the life out of that person, and that person is now starving. You see it on Facebook. People are posting Facebook lives of themselves suffering from some kind of crazy cancer disease. And you see their body is deteriorating and they don't know what to do. They're in so much pain. They're in so much discomfort. They are just beside themselves. And they're posting, and you're like, oh my God, you know the demons are destroying them on the inside, but you can't tell them that. They can't see it. They won't see it. The demons are in control. That's the thing about demonology, is that you don't know who you're speaking to. Once you figure out people's demons and you're next to them and you guys are in survival together trying to survive this environment, you could figure out if their demons are worth playing with and worth taming or worth negotiating with. Because if the person has, again, more weight to them, they can go back and forth between the angel and the demon and play both sides of the fence and even learn. But when someone is so skinny, so skinny, and they are aging aggressively, it's the demons are in control. That's going to be harder to negotiate with. Skinny people are hard to negotiate with because they don't have a lot to give. A lot of resistance, but not a lot of give. But again, someone who is so obese, they have so many demons and diversity, it's clouding their logic and their ability to learn, and then they are programmed in a specific way. And that also provides a problem. And so it's about balance. And that's why you see me go back and forth between the dark and the light, where I'm like mad at my mom and then I'm like, thank you, Mom, and mad at my mom and thank you, Mom. But it's understanding both sides. It's difficult to understand the need to have somebody really make your life difficult. Because that learning process develops a resistance, develops a capacity to handle somebody making your life hard, and you can still survive it and even strategize your way out of it. I mean, life is not going to be easy. Life isn't easy. Just look how crazy this world is. You still have to navigate very carefully. Be careful who you communicate with. Be careful when you pick up the phone. Be careful who you come in contact with. But your ability to read the room and read the situation faster before it destroys you, that's the gift. And so that's the gift of experience. And kids and even young adults and even some adults don't have that level of experience to understand how to read the room and get out of harm's way. They walk into the room and let everyone attack them. That's what's crazy. Okay? And so angels and demons, antigen and antibody, as above, so below. Okay, so I don't want to post anything about angelology because you're the angel. Now figure out your demons. And thanks, Julian. Hi, Julian. Hi, Tanya. Figure out your demons. And if you are in resistance to someone that's not even next to you, and you're intellectualizing that there is somebody out there out to get you, the government or some other religion or some other country, that's a demon that you have to figure out how you're going to deal with. Because it's really the people next to you. They're microbes, people that you love and respect. Your cohorts and your associations and your religions and your politics and your science, dogmas, whatever. And they're telling you and recommending you to take away the pain and suffering through all of their different modalities. Those are probably the demons you really need to be aware of and figure out how you're going to survive them. And sometimes if you're in constant resistance, you won't survive. So sometimes you have to walk away. I'm tired of being in resistance to people around me telling me this and this and that. So sometimes you have to walk away. My husband and I, sometimes we resist each other because I have information, he has information, belief system, and they don't always meet and match, but we do have a larger platform of survival to work from. That even though we have different beliefs on life and even lifestyle, my beliefs will actually help him do whatever he wants to do, and he has the freedom to do it because he makes enough money to do those things, and I don't. And I don't have the belief of buying everything under the sun and spending money and collecting baubles and shopping and him, he's a man, he consumes, he conquers, consumes and conquers. I'm not gonna let him conquer me, But he can conquer the world out there, that's fine. And he can consume the world out there, that's fine. He can't consume me and he can't conquer me. I will put those boundaries down, but I'll give him just enough for him to feel sort of okay, but I don't want to be eaten alive and consumed and conquered. Because again, that's men's modalities, is consume and conquer until they recognize that's what they do. But it's built into their genetics. So then you have to recognize those demons, even in men, when you're in relationships, and find a way to regulate their consumption. Right, Julian? For real, traditions tend to get in the way of change. Absolutely. All right, so I know how to work with my husband's demons. Now, I would not want to break anyone else in down the road. Oh, hell no, because people's demons are going to be even more so. I just happen to get lucky with him that we've evolved together, coming from a certain point. And he's also Gen X and type O. He's O negative, which is what I understand what I'm up against with someone who's O negative, because it will cause replication to me because they're so high energy. I can't keep up with O negatives. And especially if they're men too. Okay? And so angels do not destroy people. Demons do. Sometimes people's demons turn them into trolls, demons, and even serial killers. People pass away from their demons, not their angels, who tried to warn them. But the demons destroy their ability to detect danger for what it really is, which is why many humans are flying blind, and then the demons destroy them. So when you think about antigen-antibody programming, you don't have antibodies to then balance out the antigen. Blood type A has a lot of antigen. I don't say they're demons, but I guess you can characterize them as demons of sorts, because then they have to take therapies in order to survive their cohorts out there who are blood type O's, who hold the antibodies that'll turn into antigen if you get around them, and as well as other same blood types, because if you're a blood type B, anyone that's a B is going to then attack you, and you don't have any antibodies for blood type B. So then you really have to watch your movements for blood type A and B. Blood type O's are going to carry the weight of the world, and they'll be carriers. So everybody has to now watch out for each other, right? So that's why you have to know your blood type, so you know what you're in for. And then act accordingly. I have a feeling that the Upside Down in Stranger Things is a place which houses the demons to go after the children. So I'm watching Stranger Things now. And I'm thinking like, oh, the 80s and all the 80s music. And 11 is like a human experiment in Hawkins' laboratory. And she's been used as a medium to get in touch with the other side, making the layer between the dead and the living so much thinner that the Demogorgon is able to come from the dead into the alive world and attack the living. That's what's going on right now, is we have Demogorgons out there flying around, activated Pandora's box, that are metastasizing in people, causing turbo cancers. And children are affected. Children are going to be the ones that are going to succumb a lot more than some of the adults. I mean, some adults are succumbing to because they have the immunocompromised immune systems, or immunocompromised, but the children don't have enough of the life experience and the intelligence and the intellectual capability and the fat and the body to be able to protect them. They're still developing their immune system. It's not fully developed yet. And then you see parents taking food away from their kids, compromising their immune system, and then giving them elderberry syrup and all these things out there that are compromising them. So then you think about Stranger Things, and it's all about the kids. Just like every single movie out there in the 80s about the kids fighting some kind of evil thing, or coming upon bodies like The Body, or what is that movie with River Phoenix, Stand By Me. Children are affected the most, and they are the ones that are sacrificed the most. Okay? Okay, so, all right, no more, we don't have to do any more back and forth, Julian. Just listen, okay? Just listen. I appreciate, but I don't want to get distracted. All right? And so children are the ones that they're going to target. The system is targeting. So now these kids have to eat to the level of their environment. And like I said, when I was in that showroom full of huge, beefy, testosterone men that I know eat meat, milk, cheese, and eggs and everything else, big meat eaters. And I come home and I'm eating so much meat to feed those demons. Because when I come into contact with anyone, their microbes will get into my body because I'm breathing in the ectoplasm, their antigen. And so I have to feed for the level of the life in my world, because again, the meat eaters will devour the vegetarians because the vegetarians don't have enough substance to them. And our microbes, my microbes, that are meat-eating microbes, will go after a vegetarian. My immune system is stronger than a lot of people out there. So my microbes will go after someone who can't eat food or eat a lot of food because they have food issues. And so that's kind of why we're in the Hunger Games when you think about it, because the weak, the children, the vegetarians, the vegans, the immunocompromised are going to be cannibalized by the people around them that are stronger and bigger and burlier and more adaptable. That's what Darwinism is, survival of the fittest. And you think your kids that are gluten-free and sugar-free and salt-free and meat-free and milk-free and everything's organic, you think they're going to survive their world and they don't have really an immune system to be able to protect them? They're not fit enough for this in such society. And it's not mean exercise either. It's not having like a six-pack and big pecs. You got to have fat and substance to you. You got to have intelligence. You got to have intellectual capability. And these mothers are starving their children. These poor kids are starving and they can't handle pain and suffering. Of course. They can't handle any new information. They're programmed all up to hell by their parents who are taking food away from them. The kids can't even... That's why I'm saying that the whole Stranger Things, watch that. Because it is about the kids that are either going to make society amazing in the future because they have been programmed in such a way to handle pain and suffering and hardship, or they're going to be sacrificed because they don't have the capacity to handle hardship and pain and suffering. And again, it's not for you to determine how much pain and how little pain, and if you don't understand how that works and you think food is poison or whatever, yeah, go see a doctor. Go see whatever to go make their life manageable until they leave quietly. Because that's what's going to happen. Is that people are not going to be announcing their departures anymore. They just die suddenly. When people are managing disease and cancer and all of that, they are announcing their departure. But there's ways to announce your departure. You don't want to pass away in a hail of BULLETSs by the police. So, and they don't want you stalking people and on the Facebook and bullying them. So if you want to announce your departure, you do it in a way on your Facebook and say, hey, I'm managing cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and everyone pray for me and all that stuff. But, even then, the system's like, okay, you can announce your departure. You never announce your departure. You just die suddenly. But watch people out there on Facebook announce their departure. And you just hope that it's okay on the way out the door. And so I have a feeling that the Upside Down in Stranger Things is a place which houses the demons to go after the children. Chief Jim Hopper lost his own child to cancer because the demons pulled his child into the Upside Down. Joyce Byers, that was Winona Ryder in that show, is desperately trying to pull her child from the Upside Down. Will's friends are desperate to find Will and save him from the Upside Down. And you notice that kid, when he sees those flashbacks, I'm in now the next episode, not the vanishing, but where they find him, they bring him back into the waking world, and he still has a foot into the dead world. He's still getting flashbacks and even seeing the Upside Down, even in his world. And so some of these kids who are immunocompromised are halfway in the dead world and halfway in the live world, and they're playing both sides. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that kids right now are they're in this environment, they have a hand into the other side. And if they don't eat food and release demons and stay home and stay safe, they're going to get pulled in to the other side by the Demogorgons, the Hydra. Hawkins scientists in 11, which is Millie Bobby Brown playing that part of 11, both developed the Upside Down to play with the Upside Down inhabitants and bring the underworld into the waking world. 11 was used to contact the aggressive demons, bringing them into the waking world, like the Large Hadron Collider. changing the atmosphere to be more favorable for the dead and the waking world to be aware of each other. Oh, I'm aware of the spirits in my house. I mean, they're not flying past me like you see like before, but I know they're around. Sometimes I just unconsciously, I'll just go and close the door because I hate looking at the darkness of that doorway of the hallway. And then there is a little, a little cut, like crawl space that has an own secret room in there. And then there's like the space behind the bathroom sink. And there's a lot of little cubbies in this house. This is like a bungalow. This is a bit more, like, was it built in 1928 or something? 1932, I forget. This house is old. But I do notice that there are the other side, and they are walking around, and they're doing whatever they do. They make noises, and sometimes they let you know they're around. Making the thin layer between the dead worlds so accessible that they both cross boundaries. The dead and the alive are fighting each other. That's what I'm saying. The viruses are basically the dead, as well as other people's demons, trying to take you over and inhabit and metastasize and turn you into a clone type of thing. So when, what is it? The Matrix. Remember those agents that would then turn people into another agent? It just took one something that turned them in, and you saw the transformation from the person to another agent of the Matrix. Yeah, that's what people are doing, is that they're microbes. When they don't realize what they're walking into, they don't realize that they're going to have to reconcile with that engagement later on. It might be aggressive if they even survive it. Their friends and their family and everyone around them are trying to take them over, and even the dead. Because again, remember those orbs? And there was no one around me. But the orbs fly by, and sometimes because the frequencies and the atmosphere is so favorable for those conditions, and maybe there's a lot of wind going on, maybe there's a lot of climate change going on, and they're flying by. Okay? So not only are you being attacked by your friends and family, or in diverse company, but you could be by yourself, like I am, and you'll see them zip by. Or when you look into a sunbeam and you see the plasma, you see all those dust particles. Some are just floating lazily by. Others are like, bing, bing, bing. You're like, well, what's making that energetic? Yeah, intelligence. Okay, so back in the 80s, greed was great. That's how they got you to perform. And you saw how Gordon Gekko and Wall Street encouraging young Republicans, young Democrats, young people to go and walk all over their friends and family to get that almighty dollar. Boiler Room, oh my gosh, I was like that. I was a salesman. I worshipped Boiler Room, that movie with Ben Affleck and Vin Diesel. Oh my God. I was like, if I was a dude, I would have been one of them. Oh, I know I would have been. If I was a dude, I would have been one of those people on Wall Street. If I had the ability, if I didn't have all these fucking demons in me and all that crap, and I was bred to be a boy, to be so aggressively, manipulative into getting market share, oh, absolutely. I know I would have been a criminal genius, a financial criminal genius. Because once you learn how to take people through finances and marketing and charisma, like you see in the crypto world, it's not hard. Like Jordan Belford. It's not hard to make up stories. It's not hard to blow smoke up people's asses to promise them the world. It's not difficult. And so I know I would have been rich in another world, another time, if I had a different body, if I was a dude. That was the thing that I was just so pissed off that if I was a dude. But I mean, I did my own sales. I played my own games of manipulation, getting in the door, selling policies. I was a great salesman. But it's taxing. When you have to be on 8 hours a day like that, playing that part, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then you get exhausted from playing that part of just taking people for insurance money. What do you mean by taking people? Because when you're in, like, let's say, like, these boiler rooms of the insurance for high-risk drivers, brokers, for example. And then you have all these lists of B-rated companies. Not A-rated, but B-rated companies that take on high-risk drivers. And then you get their DAC report. You get their driver's license report or whatever, their driving report. And they have a DUI. They have a seatbelt type of issue. They have this. And you're like, well, as a broker, you're trying to make money, right? You don't make money just selling the policy the way it is. You have to make money on how do you get someone to give you more money to give you so you can sell them that policy. So you say, well, I'll charge you $100 for that seatbelt violation, $100 for that DUI, another $100 for this. And so then you figure out then the down payment, which is basically all, what is it? Money on top of whatever. I forget what you call that. It's all revenue. That down payment is what makes the company money. And then, you sold a policy that they would get anyway somewhere else, but you made money off the down payment. And so that's how you take people, is you sell them into, and that's some fucked up shit in the insurance industry. Absolutely, that's some fucked up shit. Not so bad with regular, A-rated companies like Farmers and State Farm and all of those. But when you're dealing with brokers who are selling to high-risk clients, when you're high risk, they will take you for everything that you have, that you're willing to give up. And so you may not have a lot of coverage as a high-risk client because they're not going to cover you on these because they know what your record is. You'll pay out the ass to a broker who will give you some kind of coverage because no one else will cover you. That's how they've taught us to go and step on all over each other. But hey, you're punishing someone. You're holding them accountable for being a high-risk driver. I'm not super proud of being part of that, but I was. And I made money, yes. But it's not something to be proud of, taking advantage of your fellow man. That fucking sucks. That's what we're taught. Take advantage of your fellow man. Take them for everything they can, everything they got. And then you look back, you're like, fuck, I'm ashamed for being part of that. But that's what it was. And you think about Wall Street when they're selling people junk bonds and crypto stocks. Oh yeah, it's going to make money. Oh, look, like Bernie Madoff. Pyramid. Even that company, Nerium, that turned into now another company, but they were sued by the FTC for developing a MLM pyramid scheme, taking people. Do you realize what Nerium is? Nerium is a poisonous flower. It's part of the family. Well, Nerium's a family that oleander, which the poisonous flower belongs to. Why would you call a company a poisonous flower? Because they had malintention. They were taking people, selling them a fucking dream. We've done some shitty stuff to each other because we were taught that money and greed is the almighty thing. You worship it, and you collect people, and you collect money, and you collect baubles, and you walk all over your friends and family in order to get ahead. Oh, God, yeah. Greed is how the system will get you. And you're watching your friends and family now walking all over each other, selling each other everything under the fucking sun, promising them a dream, selling people remedies. That's the new pyramid schemes, right? Not really new, but that's the new Wall Street, is selling people remedies, selling them concoctions, selling them, this will save your life, selling them, relief of pain and suffering. You can't freaking promise that, not in this environment. And when you could sell relief from pain and suffering, the environment was a little bit calm, so only FDA-approved protocols can do that because they would last a little bit longer. But in this environment, you can't promise shit to anyone. People who collect objects because they have money to spend, people who collect people who collect baubles and so much life experience, especially in this environment, will be subject to taking care of so many things that take away from their own life force. Their own immune system will be overridden by demons because the angels are overwhelmed by your need to collect everything. You need to have so much all at once. You saw what happened in the 80s. Gordon Gekko, greed is good, Wall Street. Right now, greed is sucking the life out of people. When companies take on more accounts than they can manage, they don't have enough people. And so then the customer is getting screwed on the other end because they're not getting their services are not being taken care of because the company was so greedy in getting so many accounts. And then the employees are stuck working 50 million hours a day in order to try to make up for that. And you can't work people to death like that. But it's the owners that are fucking greedy. And they will destroy their company because of it. And the customers will be like, dude, this company sucks. They're fucking greedy. They can't even handle the accounts they have. Why are they getting new accounts? But again, that's the greed of mankind. That's what's going to destroy them. The greed of agreement, which is why I purposely repel everybody. As soon as you all agree with me, there goes society. Maybe that needs to happen. Because once society agrees with me, most society will be gone. And so, yeah, right now, it's happening. As society agrees with me, a lot of their friends and family are going to be gone. How does that happen? How does people agreeing with you is going to cause society? Because they're going to resist my information. Sometimes resistance is also agreement. And when you resist my information, you go the complete opposite. You'll try to gain all market share and work yourself to death and take all your medications and operations and be out there with everybody. And you'll take yourself out by simply resisting my information. Yeah. Sometimes resistance is also agreement because that's how the system got to you too. That's how the government got to people and destroyed them. They wanted you to resist them because you go right into the net that they had waiting for you, and you're now taking all of your different methods of remedies and surgeries and everything else. If you can learn, you have the ability to kick out the demons in the body, but those with inability to learn will eventually be overridden with demons, munching on their angels, even their own children. Because I see mothers out there making sure their children never learn anything new in the process of starving them out of gluten, milk, and meat and cheese and eggs, and posting all over Facebook, using their kids as a tool for their political agenda. Basically just proselytizing their religion, using their kids as a piece, as a leverage piece. Oh, look, my kids. Look, they're so cute. Oh, okay, you have credibility. I'll listen to you. In my opinion, everyone is born an angel, but the demons or sins of the father and mother do overshadow the angels, and the system cultivates the demons, using them for the community until your angel breaks free and starts taming the demons within and disengaging from the demons out there. Addictions, hate, intolerance, activism. Oh my God. You will find that some will have a hard time learning, thus making their demons inside stronger and more formidable until the government or community standards of the platform steps in and regulates. How many of you had to go through several different accounts? You're like, oh, I'm back from Facebook jail again. Oh, really? You haven't figured out how to bypass those algorithms? Oh, no. Do the same thing over again, expecting a different result. Maybe not. I don't know what the hell people are thinking. But every time I go through a Facebook jail, I figure out what I said and what I did. I'm like, oh, I see what they're saying. Okay, time to do a different tactic. Absolutely. You can still get your point across in a specific way, but it has to be done in a specific way. If you don't understand how that specific way is done, you'll keep doing the same thing over again, been put in jail over again, and you never learn. And you see it all over Facebook. Oh, back from Facebook jail again. I never learn. Okay. You're right. Social media is a conditioning process, and the system is attempting to purge out the demon from you by regulating your hate speech, misinformation, and aggressive qualities. The key to everything is your ability or inability to learn new concepts. Even if they're not new, they are new to you. The system tests children to see how well they can learn new concepts. They tested me so many times when I was in school. Oh my God. Well, not just the state tests, but even psychological testing, because I was acting out. Well, I had a lot of programming going on in me, so of course I was acting out. Adults have a hard time because they become more cemented in their beliefs that learning anything new is almost impossible. Belief is what gets in the way of learning, and that's when people destroy themselves and each other and their own families. Belief is a demon in of itself. Okay? and adults are plagued with beliefs or demons, and so the system will try to teach your children and use the adults until they self-implode. And so you'll find that a lot of adults out there are still children because they haven't learned anything new. They're stuck in a loop. And of course they have kids. So they're teaching their kids what they know. And so then the whole family, as they merge other families, because they'll get married, of course, they'll all go over the ship together, go over the cliff together, right? Adults, you have a chance to redirect. But if you're still laden with beliefs and demons, you will destroy yourself because the system won't let you destroy others unless it's through FDA-approved protocols. And so, yeah, adults are still children in this society because they were taught a certain way, and they stayed with those belief systems from childhood and kept with the same skills until they started realizing they're not alone in their body. Now they're realizing there's something else they have to deal with. That's called disease. That's called pain and suffering. That's called cold and flu. The demon is moving and devouring them. And that's why adults are resisting the government. They're resisting the demon within, projecting and transferring onto the government and each other. And so you didn't know what belief was ingrained in you, and you never knew the power. And so you didn't know that belief was ingrained in you. Okay? You never knew your power. That's the devil of religion and politics and some aspects of science. All right? You were programmed and you didn't even know it. You didn't even know it, and you resisted it. You're not organic. You never were organic. But the real problem is, who and what do you listen to? I'm not narcissistic to think you should listen to me. Okay? I'm not your doctor. I'm not your preacher. I'm not your mom and dad. I'm not anyone that you should listen to. I'm just another person giving you information to consider, but that's it. I go and go all over Facebook, and I watch people, and I watch their information, and I take cues from them. Sometimes I ignore them. Sometimes I unfollow them. But I consider everything. I don't go on there and try to change anyone. I don't go on there and try to do anything. All right? And so I don't expect anyone to listen to me. And if anything, I'd rather people don't listen to me, because the system needs to get rid of a lot of people, and more of them step out of their job and stay home and stay safe and strategize their way to stay home and release those demons and build up themselves. Who's going to build the infrastructure? Who's going to do the infrastructure? So I would rather most people resist me, stay in their job, do whatever they do, get all the pleasures in paradise to keep them going, as I can sit here and develop myself and make myself better for the next world. And so, yeah, it really isn't in my best interest for everyone to agree with me. And I don't mind most people resisting me, because I could give a shit. You're going to your job, you're doing your thing, you're making your money, you have your baubles and pleasures in paradise and all your followers and social capital and your trips and your food and all of your, your Fendi bags and plastic surgery and all that stuff and all the performances and distractions. You're having a great freaking life. Thank you for your service. It doesn't last forever, but thank you for your service as I'm here cultivating myself, denying myself all of that, because that is temporary. All that pleasure in paradise is temporary. So here's my advice. Listen to everything. Make your own choices. Nobody is wrong. Nobody is right. You have to make choices for yourself. And do you know children don't have any choices out there? You hope children survive their own family. And in my opinion, the more agreement you get from everyone, look where society is going. Is that where you want to end up? But if you can't handle the resistance from your friends and family and society, it's better you listen to the government and to leave as peacefully as possible. You don't have to announce your departure. And I say that term, you don't have to announce your departure, because when people leave groups and they're so pissed off, they want to let everybody know they're pissed off at the group. They're like, well, I'm leaving because you guys all suck. Well, that's kind of what goes on out there. When people are resisting the government, resisting even me, they're announcing their departure. Well, I didn't even know that you were in it. I didn't know you even were in my world. You don't have to announce your departure. But when people are in resistance and they're on their way out the door, they have to announce their departure. And sometimes that's through all the suffering of resistance, the suffering, and the blaming, and all of that. And so Yeah. And that's a lot to take in. So, you know, the less people announcing their departure, overwhelming people, the easier it will be for some people to live, but you can't promise it. So then you have to block and delete for those who can't seem to stay on their own side of the line. They cross boundaries, announcing their departure. Okay. In my opinion, do not get fooled into worshiping angels and deities. You are the angel. Save yourself from the internal demons, and they are formidable. Okay, again, when I'm crawling up the stairs like I was a couple years ago, when the frequency shifted, and I felt such an, like when my husband and I couldn't figure out, that was some crazy stuff. It was summertime, and we changed the fans from the dining room to the living room, and I'm thinking like it's a portal. I'm just making up some kind of story. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was a frequency. And I felt such energy go right through me. And then I had to go to the restroom. I had to go take a poop. It was crazy. And so, but I remember at one point when I got so vertigo, so dizzy, and it was a demon within me doing whatever it was doing. And it was influenced by the frequencies and by the climate change, and even my husband, I'm sure. And I could barely get up the stairs. I was crawling up the fucking stairs. That's how formidable these demons are in people. They even make you incapacitated. Sometimes, like what happened to Ashton Kutcher, he couldn't speak, he couldn't hear, he couldn't move for who knows how long. Jamie Foxx went through the same thing where his demons got a hold of him. They were on the move and incapacitated him. Okay? Sometimes that shit happens. Where the demons inside are so strong and they're everywhere. It's not like you can go take a poop and no, it's a process. And when you trigger those demons that do have a hold over your motor neurons, and you're like, I can't hardly move. I mean, I was sore walking up and down the stairs a few times. You got to be able to release those demons, and that's when you're in that much pain. And you feel you're incapacitated on some level, if you still have the presence of mind, like I did, to throw myself in the shower at one point and just pull everything out, because you need water to do that, almost like you're a fish. You need to have that liquid. Okay? I'm telling you, that will give you another chance. But you have to have the presence of mind to understand where that programming is rooted. It's rooted in your immune system. And when you start feeling that demon on the move and you can't move and you're cured, because that's what happened with me. I was so cured that I couldn't move. I wasn't pooping. I wasn't eating. I wouldn't even want to drink. Nothing was moving in my system. I had to force my system to activate. How did you do that? Well, I had to go and pull everything out. And I had to cough and sneeze and blow my nose to leverage the pressure to push it all out. But when you get to a point where you are feeling something that you're like, I don't know what the hell this is, and you're wanting to call the doctor, which sometimes you have to. Okay, I'm not saying not to. Do what you got to do. But when you're in that point where that beast is holding you hostage, that's when you have to have the presence of mind to start pulling out the crap and eating food and as much as you can, because sometimes you don't even want to. And drinking water and blowing your nose if you can. And that's why you have to leverage the pressure up here to understand how important up here is to down there. And that takes someone who remembers my information and has conditioned themselves, because when you go through the respiratory conditions where your head is so full of mucus and you're coughing like you sound like it's deep within the bowels of hell, because sometimes coughing when you sound like you're a barking seal. Oh yeah, that's the body trying to get out all that crap out of your system and get it to the places where it needs to then release. You got to condition your body for that. And then when people are taking mucus drying agents and cough suppressants, yeah, forget it. There's no way. And so the demons and angels were always inside of you. But the system programmed you to be completely unaware of your power, always looking outside for absolution or blaming. And then you put yourself in harm's way of other people's demons, claiming to be the angel. And when you're by yourself most of the time, and you're sick, dealing with the pain and suffering, and you're eating all food, you'll be in touch with your angels. They'll warn you. They'll even through your dreams. Sometimes you'll get epiphanies when you're washing dishes and you make connections. So otherwise you'll be playing with everyone else's demons as well as your own. That's why all the confusion. And if you can't be by yourself, other people's demons will destroy you. And so please do not confuse being by yourself as a meditative type of situation. Those are the demons trying to distract you. That serpent that's wound around your spine, that the yogis like to play with, the snake charmers like to play with. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Nope. I sit with the pain and suffering, and I listen to the message in my dreams, and I eat all food, and hell is very stinky and messy. Sometimes you will smell like a shit factory because the body is now trying to release the demons. And so sometimes in some mornings, you'll be farting. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what, when you read like maybe Dante's allegory or you see some of the horror movies out there and it's about shit and stink and monsters. Yeah. Or Mr. Hanky in South Park. Yeah, that's the hell. The sulfur smell. Rotting eggs. Oh yeah. People breed hell in their body and they don't want to release. And then when the body does try to release it, you'll smell like a shit factory. And that's why the release process of the hell in your body is a stinky, messy, nasty process that really you don't want to invite people around to be in. That's why it's better to be on your own more than not. But again, if you are incapacitated for whatever reason, you're going to need somebody to do certain things for you if you can't do it on your own. And that's where you have to figure out how much can you afford to be on your own. It's a balance. You got to know what you're in for. You must have the stomach to release the demons. Okay? You must have the stomach. And this flat stomach bullshit of everyone just fat free and all muscle, that's died suddenly. You're waiting to die suddenly. And so agreement is the greed that keeps you in aggressive destruction. The more you crave agreement, the more destructive you will be to yourself and your family. And when you have been raised on agreement, that's an addiction, a demon, hard to kick. Okay? And so, I don't need everyone to agree with me on so many levels. I mean, it's nice, it's fun, it's great to have a little bit of that because I've had so much resistance the last 7 years and in the last 3 years. But in reality, it's not about what if you agree with me or not. What are you proving to yourself? Are you surviving? Because people can agree with me all day long and they would do the complete opposite. That's what I get. I had that before. People would agree with me and say, yeah, I agree with you. And they're on my page all the time. And they're doing exactly the opposite of what I would have done. Not that I should be influential like that. But agreement isn't necessarily honest. People could agree with you and do completely the opposite and blow smoke up your ass. So I don't want to live on agreement because that's deceptive. What are you doing to save yourself? Okay, maybe my information is confirmation of what choices you already made, and that's great. But I don't want to live on agreement. Okay, and so here's the thing about men. Like I said, men consume and conquer. Women, you have a better chance to survive if you don't become conquered and consumed by the family, friends, and even each other. And so you'll see this in families. You'll find that women and girls are the feast and the cannon fodder for the family until she is all used up, i.e. human sacrifice. Because you see people like posting the pictures of their daughters and their daughters and their nieces and their nieces and their granddaughters and they're cute. And they're like, oh, look how cute my girl is. Look how cute, And so she's feast for everyone. She's a feast for everyone. But if I'm proud of my kids. Yeah, okay. Yeah. What about her brain? What did she learn the last year? Did she learn some pretty hard physics concepts that she got an A or a B on, or she, did something pretty amazing that she didn't know she could do herself? Is it always about looks? Or is her brain, can you brag about her brain? If she doesn't have a brain, then I guess looks is what people brag about. That says a lot. When people put so much emphasis on looks, not on brains. See, the last 3 years, I'd say the last couple years, when I've been just purposely finding the hardest concepts to learn and learning them and understanding them and using them in my everyday language. I don't have to know the intricacies of like some of these symbols like joules and Kelvin. Though I learned the other day what 0 K is Kelvin, 0 Kelvin, absolute 0. But I like to challenge myself. I like to learn something that I had never learned before. I fear if I can learn it and understand it and also apply it to my everyday life. That's the joy of the whole J world, is the ability to learn. You don't have to have everything memorized. Could you take information like even Stranger Things or any of these shows, or even some concepts out there that are like standing by itself, and can you apply it to something, to your own thesis and something else that would be appropriate in your world if you're trying to convey some kind of communication? That's the joy of the J world, is the ability to learn, not laden down by beliefs. And so that's why I think women and girls need to cultivate their brain and not their body. But if they don't have much brain up here, then their body's out for everyone to use and abuse. And you'll see it all over Facebook. You see the girls that don't really have the brains are all about their body, and they're showing you everything. Hair, skin, and nails, and lips, and cleavage, and everything else. Because that's what they're bred for, is to be somebody's plaything. Or to be a broad mare and to produce children. To maybe be programmed if they are tied in with something like that. But for the most part, if your kids don't really have a purpose from anyone else, then they're bred to be someone's wife, mother, or plaything. And so now women do get the opportunity, and some men, boys, get the opportunity to learn new things without always going to the go-to of, here's my body, use it. So you'll find women and girls are the feast and cannon fodder for the family until she's all used up, i.e. human sacrifice. But she must give her permission. Some women do not even know what they are giving permission to and what they are up against. They are being consumed and conquered by everyone if she lets them. The circle of life. Okay? Now watch people with their big families. You see who's getting eaten alive. The smaller, the skinnier, and the sickliest. So now we're understanding the circle of life. The circle of life. Da, da, da. Oh, yeah. The meat eaters are at the top of the food chains. The omnivores are at the top of the food chain. Because bears are omnivores. They can eat plants and berries, and they eat fish and even humans. I just watched a movie called Backcountry, and this guy was eaten by a bear. I was like, oh my God. Okay? And then the vegetarians are being cannibalized by the meat eaters. So when you fancy yourself a vegetarian, a vegan vegetarian, you're saying to everyone that you're now food for the masses. Because the big burly men, the big people, the people that are omnivores and carnivores, omnivores pretty much, they will eat those people alive. And that's why girls are told to be skinny, eat only organic, vegan, and vegetarian, so they could be food for some testosterone-filled man. So you have these estrogenic women who eat absolutely nothing, think everything is poison, told to not eat anything except for air sandwiches or a little bit of lettuce and celery, while they're married to these big burly men. I was an estrogenic woman. Absolutely. I had a lot of estrogen. I was skinny. I was hot. Found my husband full of testosterone. Meat eater. That's how we got together, because yes, those opposites attract. Oh, I was hot when I was younger. I was hot even 10 years ago. I'm not saying I'm not hot today. I've lost a little bit of the estrogen because I'm not being programmed to be someone's sex thing anymore. It's now like we do, and enough. We're not being consumed and all that and conquered. But yeah, the skinny girls that are vegan and vegetarian that think food is poison are going to be meals for these big burly berry men. Okay? That's why I control how much my husband consumes me on so many different levels. Men will consume women to death. Watch out, women. Watch out, men, because women will consume you to death too. They know how to get to your weaknesses. It's food and sex. It's not difficult with men. Make them food, give them sex. They're pretty much happy. They can give a shit if it destroys them. Which is why you want to steer your daughters away from marriage and relationships if possible, because she will get consumed to death in this environment. She doesn't know what she's in for. I know what she's in for because I've seen it and I've experienced it, but kids today don't know what they're in for following the old traditions. If there are people in your town who eat meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and are big and beefy and strong, if you're a vegetarian, weighing next to nothing, you are food for them in body, mind, and spirit. And we see girls out there on Instagram, OnlyFans, putting out their wares for everyone to see. They are food for the masses. And they're advertising themselves, and even their mothers advertise their daughters to be food for somebody else. That's how pervasive human trafficking is. It's done through the family. And then all the psychological programming of starvation is also administered by the family. Just like deer hunted by predators, vegetarians get eaten alive by the meat eaters, the circle of life. Which is why I had no patience and have no patience for vegetarians or vegans anywhere on my Facebook. I don't want to eat them alive, and I don't want them to starve me. Eat to survive the strongest and the burliest human in your community. I have to eat meat, milk, and cheese and eggs to survive my husband who eats meat, milk, and cheese, or else he will consume me. And I won't survive. And when I left the showroom, full of Cleveland-bound brown fans who were big and beefy men full of testosterone, guess what I had to eat for dinner to feed the microbes I breathed in? I ate so much venison and meatloaf and potatoes so I could feed the demons and release them. Skinny women and men are getting eaten alive by the larger, more adaptable humans. It does not pay to be skinny, sexual, and starving. You'll be eaten alive by your family and your friends, literally. Look at those in sexual relationships. The skinnier one is being eaten alive by the bigger one. Okay? It doesn't mean that the bigger one won't succumb to their own situation. But when you think about the disparity of the weight and even the intake, yeah, the one that's skinnier needs to eat a whole lot more to keep up with being eaten alive by their significant other whose microbes are eating them alive. And even probably sexually. And so every rose has its thorn. Microbes attacking you. The most beautiful face may also be the most deadliest experience. So again, I put stock in brain power, not beauty. See, I was raised everything about being beauty, being hot, being cute, being skinny. Oh, I have so much estrogen that's called my PMDD. I was fighting the demon within. And so I was so soft. My face was so soft and everything was all estrogenic. I was skinny. I was hot. Even the girls that were bigger than me, way back in the 90s, didn't like me because they're like, I can't compete with that. Well, no shit. I was programmed to be this way. You got the gift of intelligence, not sexuality. But then the girl that I was hanging out with that didn't like me, we're trying to be someone's best friend, and anyways, and she always had to deal with this. She's a bigger girl, and she was always dealing with constipation. So I remember being in the stall next to her when we were out there in San Francisco. And she's like, oh, I can't get this poop out, whatever. And she's like, she was constipated. And she's a bigger girl. And so she had the curse of constipation, but she had the gift of intelligence. She was a very smart lady. But that was my curse, was being so gorgeous, being so beautiful, that even other girls didn't like me and men were targeting me. And it was just like, oh my God. So I put stock in brain power, not beauty, because I would give anything to have been really smart. So I didn't say too much. I just acted out. I put stock in clear communication, not aggressive emotional reactions. Learning how to communicate is just as important as what you communicate. Give people enough rope, they will do it to themselves. And you learn how to give people a rope. Then they can be an example on your page of what not to do, as they are exemplifying undesirable behaviors. That's why January 6th was so obvious. The system gave them enough rope. People showed their intentions. They became prosecutable. And so when people stop resisting, they will see the truth. So as long as they understand what they need to resist and what they need to stop resisting. And if you don't have clarity of thought or discernment, You will resist the things that will save you and allow the devil into your living room. And so again, beauty is more than skin deep. It is also like an oleander. Beautiful on the outside, but extremely poisonous on the inside. Oleander nerium. Oleander is a common ornamental evergreen shrub. It is used as freeway medium dividers in a warmer state, such as California. This plant is extremely toxic, and a single leaf may kill an adult. And there's a company called Nerium that is an age-defying cream company, which is then now named itself something different, but was sued by the FTC because of predatory practices. Oh, I've seen some of the people that were speakers and charismatics getting everybody into a downline. Oh yeah, the whole MLM industry of remedies and creams and all that was so more than predatory. It was a scam. And that's how they got to you, just like the crypto world. Pump and dump, selling you bullshit, selling you a dream, selling you riches. Oh, look, my car, it's so beautiful. And when men are so eager to conquer and consume, they ingest a beautiful flower and end up at the bottom of the ocean. That was the Iliad and the Odyssey. Allegory. Some women know how weak some men are, and some women even conquer men and consume them like a black widow. Which is why I do not spend more money than I must to survive, and I do not literally suck the life out of my husband. I want to keep him around, not use him up and throw him away. I want him to keep me around so he does not use me up and throw me away. Which is also why I cook for my husband and make sure he eats everything, and he makes sure I have the meat and the milk and the cheese to survive. We are in survival mode. All of us are. It's not the outsiders you need to pay attention to. It's the people right next to you. Will you survive your friends and family? And so I said, medical, holistic, Eastern, Western health modalities equals snake charming. All the naturopathics, all the Reiki therapists, all the snake, whatever therapists, all the therapists out there. They charm the snake. They're charming your demons. All food is what gives you intelligence and potentially intellectual capability. The myth that the flat stomach is desirable is based upon sexuality and destruction. The myth that skinny girls are healthier is what made you buy into your own destruction. Women need fat, and they need so much food as well as release. You can't have too much fat, and you can't have too little fat. But right now, women are starving themselves because they cannot manage their intelligence. So they dumb themselves down through starvation, all doctor approved, even the men. Now, what we mean by dumb themselves down, they might be smart in specific areas. They were programmed at a young age, and then that weight that they're told to be on and their lack of fat kept that demon programming in, whatever that was. It could be chemistry, it could be law, it could be anything. Okay? But since then the body, the angel, wants to start releasing that demon because that demon's becoming more and more formidable, then the resistance of evolution and change then causes them to lose their intelligence because it's called entropy. You're now heading your way to absolute zero, 0 Kelvin. Okay. That's the modeling industry. Okay, absolute zero. That's Hollywood. Okay, absolute zero. So they dumb themselves down through starvation. All doctor approved, even the men do this too. And that's why people have a hard time learning, sitting in the destruction of belief. And you can't tell them anything. You can't even get through to them. You can't even penetrate that wall of belief because they surround themselves by people who are also in the same boat. Anorexia turned into a religion of sexuality, and then the men reinforce those beliefs. Because say you see men giving money to those girls on OnlyFans, Instagram, right? You see the men date women that hardly have anything to them, give them money, power, riches, and whatever else. And so when you're that desperate for validation and money and companionship, you have to look the part. And that's how women get destroyed. The system figured out how to get people to self-destruct. The system fed into people's intolerances to pain and suffering. So they told them to stay away from food little by little as the body is cannibalizing itself, starving to death. And people are proud of it. They post all over their Facebook. They are starving themselves of meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and everything. And this is huge in the religious community. Their own peers are starving themselves and each other. You see them, they're against eating pig, pork. Oh, they say it's dirty. Okay. Pigs eat anything. And they can process. And they have a lot of substance to them. They're adaptable. Oh, but they have tapeworm. Well, if you have a working immune system, you would release whatever you take on. You can pick up tapeworm from other people. You can pick up tapeworm anywhere. You can pick up dirty microbes from your friends and family who don't even eat the pork. So why would you starve your friends and family? Oh, it's religious. I get it. Okay. And this is huge in the religious community. Their own peers are starving themselves and each other. This is how you take down people through their family and friends and social constructs. And then you give them all the pleasure and paradise and euphoria and money so they never have to move or change. Spoiled adults and spoiled children are self-destructive and sometimes they do attack others, and then the system will regulate. But they gave you a choice, right? You chose to take pleasure in paradise. There's a price to pay. Even Ariel and the Little Mermaid had to pay the price of attracting the prince that she fell in love with. She was given legs, but she had paid the price. No voice. Her voice is what attracted him. And so then when Ursula took away her voice, and then she had to go and use body language to attract him. Even little Ariel and the Little Mermaid had to pay the price. When you make deals with the devil, eventually you'll have to pay your dues. I don't write this to change you. I write this for the younger people who are watching my information and their own parents and family. Because some parents and adults are too far gone. Now you're just going to be an example of what not to do. But again, these children are up against their own family and friends, resisting their ability to change. So many seeds can be planted, but which ones will you cultivate and germinate? And then that's your choice. These kids deserve choices, and they don't get many choices because parents are so influential. And I understand there are predators out there. But if parents don't have discernment on what to protect their children from, they will resist evolution, invite the devil into their own living room. And so I see many parents do that. The kids don't have a chance. Some kids don't have a chance. I hope there are some kids that have actually amazing parents who give them choices and then hold them accountable when they screw up. It's the parents that don't hold their kids accountable when they screw up. It's the parents that will do anything for their kids. Not say, hey, well, when the kids say, can you do this for me? And the parent goes, why don't you do it for yourself? No, what the parent do? They make their kids so dependent on them that the kid can't handle being on their own. And so when the parent dies, what's a kid going to do? Going to go find a wife that will eat him alive. That's what these parents set their kids up for, to be food for somebody else because they're so dependent on someone else doing shit for them. That's why I'm so glad I have now AI to do illustrations for me, that I don't have to go and get, pay some, royalty to somebody else. Because before I was kind of dependent on somebody to make drawings for me and other stuff. Nah, no more. I don't want to depend on anyone. Because when you depend upon somebody else to such a level, there's a price to pay for that. And the price could be your life. And so you want to be as self-sufficient as possible and then have the tools and technology to help you in the areas that you don't want to depend upon somebody else, because then you might be making deals with the devil. And I'm done making deals with the devil. I've been doing that the last 7 years, making deals with the devil, and they turned on me or I turned on them because we couldn't evolve with each other. That's how easy it is when you make deals with the devil. Sometimes those demons destroy you. And so you want to be as self-sufficient as possible so you don't have to depend upon anyone, really, except for your government, who will provide you with the basics. And someone who is regulated if they are selling you their skill sets, like plumbing and heating and construction. but you don't want to depend upon your peers who are not benevolent. And so if you can't discern what to listen to your peers and what to listen to your government, then you will listen to your government 100% and end up in the morgue, or you listen to your peers 100% and end up in the fucking morgue. Either way, if you don't understand how to pick and choose between both the government and your peers, you will follow each one 100% over the fucking cliff. That's how the system got to you. If you don't understand how to pick and choose and understand what it is people's intentions are. All right, bye.